Hi, Dawn.
Hi. I'll put my earbuds in.
Hi,
Hey, bye, Paul.
how are you?
I'll be right there. Yeah.
How are you, Deb?
All right. See you there. Bye. Okay. Hi there, everybody. Okay. Can you unmute yourself? No, you're muted, Karen.
Yeah, you might want to change the panelist name from mine to Gary's.
Very good. More. And then can you check the back door and see if he's here?
I'd be happy to.
Thank you. Change rename. Okay. All right, that's better.
You should be all set. We just tested it. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yep.
It's even already on. You don't have to worry about the audio. Okay.
Now we're talking.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Did you talk to Gary about the
No, I got
motion?
sucked down in there.
So,
Hello, George.
Hello, team.
How are you?
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
now you can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, let's try Gary.
Yes.
You guys can hear me. I know you can.
Now we can.
There you are.
Okay, that's better.
All right, so we have a quorum, so I can go ahead and call the meeting to order if you're in place, Don.
I'm sorry. Say that again, Gary?
If you're in place, I can call the meeting, take roll call, and we can get going.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right, it's according to this clock, it's 3:02, and we have a quorum, so I'm gonna take roll call, and then Don will read the protocol, and then we can get started. So Gary Ellis here, Debbie Clark,
Here.
Christine.
Here,
Notice how I avoid your last name, Christine, to this
you have to sing it.
day. Paul,
Here.
George,
Here.
is anybody else here that I can't see?
Mary Ann was going to try to dial in because she's on the road, I believe, and Liz said she would not be able to make it.
Well, we have our quorum, so if you want to go ahead and read your script, Don, we can go ahead and
Okay.
get started.
As a precautionary measure to reduce the spread of the coronavirus, all town buildings are closed to the public, and the March 3rd, 2021, March 10th, 2021 Community Preservation Committee meeting will be held by remote participation. My name is Dawn Marie Flett, CPA Program Coordinator, and I'll be serving as moderator for this virtual meeting. Although no in-person attendance will be permitted, every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access and participate in the proceedings. Persons who would like to view or listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by watching via this virtual meeting or dialing in to the number provided on the notice of meeting. We will also post a recording of this meeting on the Town of Yarmouth website as soon as we are able. Please be patient as we work to overcome any technological challenges with this virtual meeting. For all meetings, to reduce confusion during the meeting, all audience participants of the virtual meeting enter muted. Participants will be unmuted when called upon to speak by the chair or the moderator. If you are not speaking, please mute yourself to avoid unnecessary background noise. All votes must be roll call votes. After a motion is made and there is a second, the chair will ask for a roll call. For public participation, comments or questions from the public will be taken at the discretion of the chair. Members of the public may speak by selecting the raise hand button and waiting for the chair to call on them to speak. If you're dialed into the phone number provided, you can press *9 on your phone to indicate that you would like to comment. Members of the public recognized by the chair are asked to identify themselves by first and last name and affiliation for the public record, and then to provide their comment each time they speak. I'll now hand the meeting back to the chair.
Okay, thanks for everybody for being here. I'll try and make this a short meeting if we can. So just let Karen know, I know she's not on here, but the script she gave me is for the drive-in utilization committee meeting. So if she's looking for it, I have it.
Okay.
Okay. So I think you all know that the primary reason we're here is because of the veterans housing home discussion and vote about our money for that. So I have a motion here. I've kind of I feel like I've looked into this far enough. I'd like to actually throw it out to everybody to see. Did you get a chance to read the feedback from Stuart in regards to buying down a mortgage? And I'm
Yes.
just going to open up this discussion to everybody. How do you guys feel about that? George?
Yes, I did read it, and I think the the point that really stands out to me is Stuart's second paragraph on the February 26th email that says, there is no issue with your CPC providing funding to reduce pay down the leftover construction debt on this affordable veterans home. So, And, I think that pretty much makes the case.
Okay, Christine, do you have any comments on what you saw?
Oh, what amount would that come to then? I'm looking at the chart.
I think it's, what was the total amount they requested, Don? I have this new motion in front of me, but
That was 100,000.
All right.
Yeah.
So it would all go then to the pay down of the mortgage and not any of the other items? Then?
well, it's up to everybody. I mean, I've been
Yeah.
round and round on this so many times. I kind of given up. I just want to know what everybody, I'd like to have everybody's feelings on this, and what do you think about it?
Yeah.
So yes, that's what it would be, but we do have other options. I mean, Karen had mentioned we could say, well, we can fund landscaping or all that, but I've looked at the house. I know Don's been there. Don went to their open house. There's no way that there's $90,000 worth of landscaping. And my feeling on that also was they should actually go and look to get landscapers to donate the landscaping, because it's not going to be anywhere near that much. You could landscape that place for, I don't hate to pull a figure, but under 10,000.
Right. So the memo that came from Stuart Saganor, said that we're creating an affordable housing unit, which is the home. And by paying part of the mortgage.
Yes, and I kind of felt, my own opinion, I kind of felt like, well, that protects us, because you're only going to get a mortgage on the building. You're not getting a mortgage on services. So if we're buying down the mortgage, we know there's not going to be any money contributed towards their service part of it.
Right.
So it kind of protects us.
Right.
And
It's
then,
not,
Don, did everybody see the reply from town council?
yes.
Everybody
I
got
sent it
that?
out. Did everybody see it?
That's,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
one, is Jay Tallerman, is that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that because he says, it's a little, challenging to follow the thread of these things, but he said, I've already expressed some caution about spending CPA money in housing that is not in Yarmouth.
I know.
This seems like one step beyond that. So how do we factor that into this problem?
I don't know. I guess I talked with Karen about it, and I don't think we're going to have an answer. My feeling was, is he concerned that it's housing, or is he concerned that it's in another town?
Yeah.
And another
And-
point that he's brought up is the difference between a town-owned housing
Right.
project and a privately owned. In this case, it is a privately owned.
Right.
Yep.
So more along the lines of like the Forward project, Forward at the Rock.
I would keep it simple and just zoom in on that one item.
Yep. So we funded the Forward project. George?
Mhm.
So, do we know how much their construction debt is?
I think that's in, I don't have it in front of me, but I thought we did.
I have an email from Adam that actually came in earlier today because I'd given him the heads up. I had sent him a copy of the agenda and told him we'd be talking today. And let's see. He says the easiest ask would be to support the costs associated with our line of credit / mortgage. And it looks like they anticipate exhausting the remainder of the line of credit by the end of FY this June, leaving a gap of $119,999.36 with regard to paying off the line of credit. So if Yarmouth were to award the full $100,000 toward paying off the line of credit, that would leave them a remaining balance of just under $20,000.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
So this means then that the line of credit will be maxed at 119,000. Is that So that is the debt, the full value of the line of credit?
I don't understand a lot about lines of credit, but that's how I read it. So somebody
So
with a
that's how-
clear financial background would be better qualified to
That's how I
explain their
interpret
line
it.
of credit.
I don't know any more than Don does, so.
Yeah, so I mean, the way the line of credit would be is they go to the bank and they say, we're doing construction and we want a line of credit for 120,000. We want a line of credit for 250,000. So the question is, were they approved for a line of credit for 119,000? I think it's important for us for when we ultimately decide how much of that we want to help pay down.
I can't say that I know how much they were approved for.
I think it was 250 or it's somewhere in the emails. I
Right,
believe.
that's my recollection also, Gary, was that there was a larger number. So,
Yes.
Don, could you reread that language?
Yeah, let's see. They anticipate exhausting the remainder of the line of credit by the end of this fiscal year, leaving a gap of $119,999.36 with regard to paying off the line of credit.
That's confusing because they're saying that they're going to exhaust their line of credit. We still don't know how much that is exhausted, and they're saying there's $119,000 left to pay down the remaining components of the construction. So that's, finance is my business, and I'm confused as to how much is the line that's going to be exhausted. So that.
All right, well, let me back up then a little bit to some other detail he gave. Current line of credit balance. Is that what you want? That's 142,513.
No, I think that what George is asking, and I could correct me if you're looking for what their original amount of their line of credit was.
That's right.
I think if you go back to the emails, not only with Stewart, but with the other towns, their mortgage was, and if you look at Stewart's response, it related to their original amount, and I could be wrong because I don't have it in front of me, was like $250,000.
And I think you might be right. So Don, based on that description, what they're saying is the balance of their line of credit will be exhausted. So my interpretation is that would be 142,000. That once they spend that, then let's say it was 250. So then they have paid out $250,000, and they have costs remaining of 119,000.
I think you're right. I think you're right, George. And
so then
Don,
my interpretation would be, how much of the $200,000 line of credit debt are we willing to, help defer? That, again, they need to clarify then, if it's 119 left, does that mean they have 7,000 in landscaping, 17,000 in solar panels, 50,000? Well, we know soft costs are out. And so, you know what I'm saying? I'm just confused with it.
I think, Don, you have to pull up the original request that went to Stewart's response was, this is what their line of credit was. And then what they did was deduct from Dennis and the other towns that already gave them money.
Let's see.
Christine?
Yeah, I think we have to stipulate, though, that it's to go only to construction costs.
Yes, yes.
Because there might be, in the line of credit, there might be payroll costs or something,
Yes, and that's what Stewart's response, I interpret to what he's saying. We need to make sure the town accountant make sure it goes to construction costs. That was
Oh.
his response.
Right.
So let me just ask a question, and I'm not sure, maybe I'll be repeating things. So they want from us, what, 100,000?
Yes,
That's the request, yes.
They want to apply it to, I've heard their mortgage, or is it to their line of credit? Because those would be two different things. Isn't it?
Well-
that's what I'm not clear on. Yes,
Yeah,
Paul.
so for example, if in a line of credit, I think what might have been brought up already is there could be things in that line of credit that were
Yep.
purchased that wouldn't qualify for our money, correct?
Correct.
So why wouldn't we say, or wouldn't we investigate that the $100,000 goes to the mortgage side? Because the mortgage is typically to buy the property and build the structure. Isn't that true? And so the mortgage costs, well, maybe I'm wrong, but wouldn't go to payroll or other things like that. But in any event, what I'm saying is maybe we need some more clarification. You know,
That would
am
be-
I lost on this, George?
No,
Um,
I think, Paul, if we do it, we need to condition it exactly what you just said. That's the way I interpret it too. It has to go to construction cost, not a line of credit.
Yeah.
It's got to go to mortgage, hard costs as it relates to the construction.
Right.
So the other thing
Up-
about the line of credit, if you pay down a line of credit, you can automatically start taking money again on that line of credit.
Yeah,
So,
right.
so it seems
Right.
to me that the reduction of the mortgage would in some ways be more concrete in a sense than paying off
I
a
think,
credit.
yeah, and I think legally, that's the way we have to do it.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
has to be hard costs for construction on the mortgage, not line of credit. And I don't know if that's what you were getting at, George, but that's how I feel.
Well, yes, and Paul, you're right that, I mean, the line of credit is, is a liability, right? So it's on their books. Mortgage is, you buy a house and you get a mortgage and then you pay that down. So I think your point is well taken that they need to give us an accounting of what they have spent through this line of credit.
Mhm.
Because the bank documents would have stipulated, they would have submitted to the bank, here's what we want to spend the money on. And
Okay.
so,
Yeah.
Right.
and the bank may have said, well, we can't do the soft costs, we will do, the hard costs, because the line of credit has to be backed by some asset.
It's typically the equity in the house, isn't it?
Yeah, but at the time they got the line of credit, there was no house.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so I think they need to give us the detail of what was spent, because if we agree to give them 50,000, and if 20,000 of that was for engineering costs and soft costs or whatever. So
Well, what you're saying is absolutely correct, George. But I think we can take a vote to approve it with those conditions.
Yeah.
They have to prove it instead of meeting every week over this. We can agree that if they don't prove it, we can pull it out at any time. But it definitely has to be hard costs related to construction. And the burden's on them to prove it. Debbie?
Yeah, I was totally confused when I read this, and then as people speaking, I think Paul dissected it perfectly, and I agree with you, Greg and Paul.
So I agree, to do the vote, but do we
Yeah.
vote on the amount? Because we don't know the amount.
We can say up to,
Up to, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up
like
to
we
what?
always do. So if they can't come up with figures that justify hard cost in that amount, then we can reduce it.
It's less. Well,
So we can do up to, so we have the money, we're holding it. It's still, the burden's going to be on them to get us exactly what you're asking for, George and Paul.
Okay.
I
got it.
think we have to have that legally. I mean, it's hard
Absolutely.
enough to go into town meeting and asking for money for housing in Dennis.
Agree.
So you got all this done.
I do. What I'll probably do, well, is maybe I can work with George to draft up the exact language of what needs to be provided, because we have been kind of going around in this circle for a while, but if
Right.
we can move beyond this vote and then iron out the details as we move into our town meeting and develop the warrant article language and draw up the draft contract and flesh it out there, I think that would be a good way to move along here.
So George, you're an expert. Can you work with Don to get the wording on this?
Absolutely.
Correct. I think we're all in agreement that it has to be hard cost construction, not line of credit. That makes me nervous.
You know, in their, it says in the original request breakdown, they're looking for 15,914 for case manager and then money for counselor and
Yeah.
capital
that.
reserve. So those things are off the table, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But then if you get into, you mentioned something about landscaping, Gary, but there's solar panels, security system, irrigation system. Would those things qualify because they are at least peripheral to the construction? Are those the kinds of things we'd be looking for?
Do they qualify? I don't know. I'm going to say they're borderline.
Yeah.
If they were like, if the cultural center was coming to us for a irrigation system, we probably wouldn't fund it. We
Yeah,
have to be consistent.
So
I
you're
think
looking
it's got to
for-
be hard construction cost of
Yeah.
that building on that mortgage.
Okay, that's good to know.
I don't know. I just think that's the safest route for us to go. I mean, we don't want to do anything, that'll, first of all, counteract anything we might do with Dennis in the future. It's going to be hard enough sell to town meeting. That's why I don't like landscaping, because what is landscaping? I don't feel like we're paying for bark mulch.
Right. Well, the good thing about this thing is that it's for veterans, and so that's a real plus, whether it's in Dennis or wherever. And so
Yeah.
that'll be a big selling point, and it's a combined effort to provide that type of housing. So I think you're right, Gary. If you keep it specific in terms of construction costs, I would hope that town meeting would be look upon this favorably.
Yeah, and if town meeting doesn't approve it, so be it.
Yeah,
But I feel like we did our job.
I agree.
Yep. And back to Christine's point, it's just cleaner, neater, than having to, deal with the trees. We can just say,
Yeah, I don't like going that route.
Yep,
Yeah, no, I agree.
yep.
Okay,
All right, so I think I heard you had a motion.
I think, George, if you could make the motion, and then we'll get a second, put it to a vote, and condition it the way we talked about. If we can't come to that agreement, we can pull it at any time, but we got to be clear and concise at its construction cost.
Right.
The
So-
only thing that I'll mention, I don't know if you have the chart in front of you, George, with the from the February 10th meeting with the revenues and balances.
For which date?
The February 10th. Just because the way that chart had broken it out was a chunk was coming from the housing reserve and another chunk was coming from undesignated.
Is that this one?
No, it is the application summary and projected revenue balance. I'm going to try to find it here in on my computer, and then I can share the screen. Give me a second. February 10th. You'll know it when you see it.
Well, I have the motion that was, the problem with the
That's got
motion.
the right. That's got the breakdown of what numbers we were considering taking from each bucket.
And it would be up to.
Yeah,
So my feeling, maybe you can explain. So I think the award from the housing reserve would be 40,022, but that's what we would take from first. So I
Do you
would
guys
also,
do you see the application summary? Have I got that up there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So 40 would have to come out of housing and
Yep.
160
Sorry.
out of undesignated.
because these other items here you have already been approved at that meeting, right?
yep, so you have to go back to that 40,022, but we really can't even say that till we know what the figure is.
So we have 100,000 as a placeholder.
Up
That was
to,
their
yeah,
request, yeah.
And so our motion will be up to 100 based on the conditions.
yes. So
Okay.
also, I
so-
don't, as a condition, I would also like a letter of recommendation from the Affordable Housing Committee. That we would need that before we get to town meeting. So I think we talked about it, but we haven't asked for anything in writing from them.
Okay. And so the motion would be up to $100,000, 40,022 from housing, and up to 59,978 from undesignated.
Yes. With the conditions, and then George, you're gonna make the motion, so you can go ahead with what you want in there as conditions.
Okay, so, hereby make a motion that we approve the Veterans Outreach Housing request up to $100,000, and that we add the condition that we will be applying this up to amount of 100,000 to an existing mortgage. And the condition is that that we receive a detailed accounting of the actual items that have been expended for out of this mortgage that apply to hard construction costs.
I second that.
Okay, and we got the condition about that they,
And sorry, let me add that final condition of letter of recommendation for Affordable Housing Commission prior to town meeting.
I still second it.
okay, motion by George, seconded by Deb. I'll take a roll call vote on that. Gary, aye. Deb,
I,
Christine,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
okay. At least
I
we
think
actually got it to a vote. We still have some work to do, but
All right.
we can always change it up to the moment of town meeting. I don't want to do that, but I think we have to. It's going to be anytime we're funding something that's in Dennis, it's going to be a challenge to begin with. But I certainly I can speak to that. But as far as being in Dennis, I don't think that's part of it. I would love to see, and I know, sorry that Mary Ann isn't here. I know they are looking and would like to do a project in Yarmouth, and I would like to see that happen. So I guess my question would be, maybe you can run it by the housing authority why couldn't they consider taking part of all that land that's been in debate for years now across from Homer
Run
Park?
Forest.
Why couldn't they donate some of that to them to do one in Yarmouth?
Great
So I'll put
idea.
that on the record. Can we ask them why they don't do that? They've done nothing with that for years and they keep talking about doing it and nothing ever happens. Maybe this
Well,
would be a start.
they got voted down for some of those larger projects that they were proposing.
Yes,
So you mean this is an alternative that's smaller and less?
they didn't truly, if I remember correctly, I don't think they got voted down. It never went forward. There was opposition
Yeah.
from the neighbors, who the neighbors wanted to be open space. Well, it's not open space. The land is for housing.
Where's that, across from Homer Park, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, so all the neighbors over in the back side of Captain's Village essentially oppose anything going in there.
Yeah.
And that's always gonna be the way. So maybe something like this certainly wouldn't be as expansive as what they originally proposed, but
Right.
it's an alternative. Why can't they look into it? So George, you have some,
So consistent with that, Gary, would it make sense to put your comments in a letter, from CPC to, to housing, and talk about the process that we've gone through here and the interest to put it there, and here's an idea, and we wanted to get it out there. Why not?
I can't disagree. That's up to everybody else. It's just an idea I was thinking of. We talk about supporting veterans housing in Dennis. Why don't we step forward and offer them a piece of land in Yarmouth? So I see
And
Nate's here. Nate's the first
Nate.
time we've seen your picture.
Good to see you, Nate.
We already, just to let you know, Nate, because we had a quorum, we always voted to bring forward the veterans housing thing. There's a number of conditions. The most important being is that we're only going to go towards their mortgage on hard construction costs. So George is going to work with Don to try and make those conditions and get that into our record, so we have a record of it, so we know exactly. We didn't feel comfortable with funding a line of credit without knowing where the money's going.
And Nate, if you're open to it, it would be helpful to have your set of eyes on it also, just from your perspective with housing and so forth. So,
Perfect.
So one of the
I think it's a great recommendation.
One of the conditions, Nate, is we'd like to get from the affordable housing, we'd like to get a letter saying that they recommend this project.
I don't think that'll be a problem.
Okay. And what we were just talking about is the possibility of taking the housing authority piece of that land and offering that maybe to this veterans.
So someone to reach out and see if there's anything I can do to kind of smooth out the process.
thank you, Don.
Gary, is a project like that, is it initiated through the housing authority? Is that how did it come to be? Yeah, I mean,
I think it would have to come from I'm not sure. It's a good question. I don't know, but I would think it would be a matter of the housing authority who controls that site, taking a certain parcel of that land and letting the veterans take it over and deeding it to them. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this either.
the house in Dennis, that was started by a private organization, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe that same private organization would work in town of Yarmouth.
Yeah, well, that's what I believe they had told us that they would like to do that, whether that happens or not.
All right. Okay.
be a matter of they're looking for land, they told us, even in Yarmouth.
Yeah.
So we have that. George?
So I'd like to make a motion and then there can be discussion, but as we talked before Nate came in, make a motion that we send a letter from the CPC to the Housing Authority mentioning this grant, conversations relative to the developer in Dennis having interest in doing something in Yarmouth. And we would like to, suggest this as an option and CC the selectmen.
I think we can, but I don't believe, it's not a Dennis developer. I believe they're Cape Wide, right, Don? So it's a Cape Wide veterans group.
Yeah, well, we can use that language,
Yeah,
we
Cape
don't,
and Island.
we don't want to say Dennis developer because I know where that's going to go.
Yeah, that won't work.
I misspoke.
Okay.
So that's the motion.
So that was a motion by George.
Yeah.
I
Any-
second it.
Any discussion on the motion or the second? Seconded by Debbie. And I'll take a roll call that we submit that letter. Gary, aye. Deb,
Aye.
Christine,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Nate.
Aye.
Hey, if you want to put that letter together, you can do it with George also when you're talking with him and run it by
Yep.
me and then we can. We got nothing to lose, in my opinion, by asking.
No,
No.
absolutely. And I think, we look at finite grants, but we also look at the bigger picture, whether it's in open space, conservation, housing. So I think it's more appropriate, very appropriate. So thank you.
I think it's a good spot for some veterans housing.
Huge.
Sure.
The rubber meets the road.
Love to see something happen with it, so. So what else do we have? Anything, Don?
The only other thing I had
Staff
was the update. I don't know if anybody watched the selectmen last night. I did not because my oven was catching on fire.
Oh, God.
But it sounds
Oh,
like they
you-
are
What is more important?
I know.
considering May 22nd for annual town meeting date.
That sounds good to me.
So that's the latest. It is not confirmed yet, but that's the latest.
I'll be away.
You're gonna be on your trip, Christine?
I will.
Or you
I'll be in Yellowstone.
you can zoom in from Yellowstone.
They don't really have a lot of bandwidth out there, right?
They
Lot of
don't have
what?
a lot of what?
A lot of bandwidth, a lot of internet service.
No,
No, they don't.
No, you're lucky to get phone
Very
service. in there.
light. They don't even
Right,
have
w-
TV in the lodge.
The one
Good for
thing to look
you.
out for in Yellowstone is not bears, by the way. It's the buffalo.
But yeah,
They are mean.
I'll be seeing lots of bison in North Dakota on the way out.
And
Hey,
fast.
Don, did they talk about town meeting being indoors or outdoors?
I didn't catch it, so I'm not sure, but I think part of the theory behind changing the date at all was to make it more, suitable for outdoors.
I think they do those two things. They'll do well with it, going to May and doing it on the football field outdoors, but what do I know? Right, anything else, Don?
That's it.
That is it. I thank
That is it.
everybody for being here, and I think we finally got through all our articles. I know Karen has a drive-in committee meeting, so that's going forward, and that's good news too. So,
When is the next meeting?
Don,
I don't have one on the schedule, so I think the original plan would have been to get closer to the town meeting date.
well, I think when we get the figures put together for the veterans, we'd want to have a meeting, but
Okay.
We've got that, and then we've also got to select an annual public hearing date. So now that we know that town meeting is probably going to be in the second half of May, we can kind of work backwards from there for the
Yeah.
annual public hearing.
That should work.
So we got
I think
at least 2 more meetings coming up at some point. We could look at the calendar, Gary, and figure that out on the side if you want.
Yeah, we can, but I will get back in touch with her. I think we need to put, get the dollar value
Mm-hmm.
if we can on this veterans thing, and put that to rest and get the documentation from them.
And then, Karen and I should have all the articles in some form of draft by then, and other annual town meeting details worked out. We'll start with the scripts and we'll do the article assignments and that stuff.
Okay. And also, let Jeff know as he goes ahead with Sandy Pond, if he could give us an update on how he's proceeding with that, might be helpful too. So we're not waiting till the last minute to go forward with that. So if he gets any updates, I'd love to get some input from him at that point also.
Okay, yeah, he's good at that.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I can hear our favorite motion.
Make a motion that we adjourn?
Okay, motion to adjourn by Christine, second.
Second, Paul?
Seconded by Paul. Okay, roll call. Gary, aye. Debbie,
Aye.
Christine,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
George,
I,
Nate.
Aye.
All right, thanks all.
Thank you, everybody.
guys,
Enjoy the next
All right,
couple of
thanks,
days.
everybody.
you too. Thanks,
right.
Don. Thanks for all
I'll be
your
in
work.
touch. Yeah, I'll be in touch with you, George.
Uh,
Hey,
4th
Don?
of July, is that when you're gonna get in touch with me? The July 4th? No problem.
Thanks.
Hey, Don, I have a question for you after.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Uh,
What you get, Debbie?
I was wondering, in the very near future, if you could text me everything that we have or we need for the playground. Because my board is like a little scatterbrained at this point. And I'm trying to regroup them all together. So we're putting a survey out there, but I don't think it's going to be a paper survey. I think it's going to be on the computer. But I still would like to have everything
How's it
in
going?
front of me so I can go to the board and say, look, guys, this is what we're missing. This is what we need to get ASAP. I want this done. So
As
there
far
isn't
as,
any
do
point.
you mean like as far as equipment or as far as the process and
what we basically need, what the recreation department basically needs to do on our part, whether it be the engineering or the ordering equipment or,
no, I don't think that would have anything really to do with rec because Jeff is running the show as far as handling the engineering and the design and the construction. That's all in DPW purview. So I don't.
okay, but you're gonna need something from rec, because we're the ones that are bringing up the playground part. And I just want to see, I'm trying to get it to really go and not other things. This has been going on for too many years. And
Well, I can send you what I have, and what
Yeah,
I have is the stuff that Jeff has submitted to me as part of the CPC application. That's what I've got.
okay, well, that'd be great if you could just send it to me and I have a meeting at 5 tonight, or 6, I mean, with rec, so I can say, look, guys, this is where we stand. If you want me to go and talk to Jeff and let him know,
I don't know if you're gonna be able to make heads or tails out of it,
Yeah.
because I'm not gonna be able to do much cleanup. It's now 3:45, so I
Oh,
mean, I
yeah,
can
no,
just
no, 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 no,
basically-
no. No, not for tonight. No, 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 no.
Okay.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
Go home and cook whatever you were cooking in the oven.
Whatever I couldn't cook last night.
Yeah. I wish I had known. I would have brought dinner over for you. Yeah, no, just so that I get a hands-on. I don't want this to slip through my fingers because
Okay.
somebody said this and somebody said that. This is too close and dear to me for the last 20 years. And
All right,
before
I
I get
can-
off that board, I want that.
I can, yeah, next week will be better for that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, we're not going in front of them until the fall. And I know that Jeff, I don't know who did this, taking care of the fields and whatever. That is like fantastic. That took a lot off our plate. But as far as who's renting the fields, that goes through recreation.
Mhm.
I don't think that goes through Jeff.
Right,
As far
right.
as the playground and everything, Jeff definitely is in that, but so is in recreation, because that would have never come up if recreation didn't put their concerns in. And I just followed through with the concerns. And I was happy because everybody's for it,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm gonna try to get a meeting together with all the parents who have disabled children or children who are in the spectrum, you know?
Yeah, that's great.
So we'll just see. But if you can do that, that'd be great. If not, I mean, I don't need it for this meeting, for this
Good,
town
okay.
meeting.
Good.
So, all right.
All right. I'll get that to
Well,
you.
thank you, and
You're welcome.
stop by Wendy's if you need to tonight.
My son would be thrilled.
I'm sure. I'm sure. All right, Dawn.
All right.
Have a good week, okay?
You too.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Dawn. Bye-bye.